Let's go now to the woes facing the coalition and criticism that Sussan Ley is facing about her leadership. Here to give us some insight on the tough job that it is to be an opposition leader. Opposition leader, of course, at one time of the Liberal Party, former Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott. Tony, thank you. I know you're going to be loath to get into the entrails. I know you've spoken to a lot of people and you're not going to air that out there publicly tonight, or you may. I could tempt you. But just in broad terms, you saw that document that Dan Tehan has now issued to the media about the foundation principles and then these guiding principles in relation to net zero, in relation to power and energy. What did you make of that as some sort of framework?
Well, Peter, I'm actually quite encouraged because it seems that the first of the guiding principles is that affordable, abundant, reliable power must come first. That seems to be the first of the guiding principles. I think that means that they are going to dump zero because, frankly, you should never put cutting emissions ahead of saving jobs, keeping industries and trying to make people's cost of living affordable. So I'm encouraged, but I guess the 2 points I'd make tonight, having seen a bit of Dan Tehan's announcement, is whatever emerges tomorrow has got to be a very clear contrast with Labor, and the leadership has then got to prosecute the argument day in, day out, right up until the next election. Because if we are going to go against the whole climate cult, we have got to prosecute the case relentlessly.
That's, I guess, the concern, the two big parts to it, that if they do stand apart from net zero, they do junk net zero, they obviously will stay in the Paris Agreement. We'll get to that in a moment. They'll stay in the Paris Agreement, but they'll prioritise affordable, abundant, reliable power.
That's always got to come first.
Okay. Now, they've all got to agree to that,
Yep.
and they've all got to stick to that. And no bitching and moaning around the edges if they didn't get their way. The other part is, and this is the point that I don't think many people have really prosecuted up until now, is if they are going to stand out there and say, we are not backing net zero 2050 anymore, we're still in Paris, but no net zero 2050, that's a mighty effort because you're up against the ABC, most of the media, the elites, the Simon Holmes courts, some within the Liberal Party.
Interests.
So can they do it, and can Sussan do it?
Well, I think it's certainly doable. I really do believe it's doable. But I just think it's so important to stress that cutting emissions is no more than nice to do. Jobs, industries and families' cost of living comes first.
Remind people, when you, in handwritten writing, annotated the Cabinet minute about the Paris Agreement, what did you say?
Well, the Cabinet minute said that we could get the 26 to 28% emissions reduction by 2030 without any new policy, without any costs, taxes, etc. And it was on the basis of that absolute assurance that I said, yes, we can agree to that. But I did say in a handwritten amendment to the minute that it was subject, contingent on other countries doing their bit too. And interestingly, some years ago, we actually met that 26 to 28% reduction target. Almost no other country has come close to meeting their emissions reduction target. So Australia, it turns out, is a stellar performer. And interestingly, it was the Abbott government that delivered.
Are you as frustrated as me to see that the political opportunity that is taking up the fight to the Labor Party about the cost of living pain that these crazy climate energy policies are visiting upon Australians, in the same way that you could see, you and I could see very early on with The Voice, this was not what Australians wanted, despite all this goodwill we have for Aboriginal people. Dividing us by the colour of our skin was not, well, it's not the human way, but it's not the Australian way either. I look at this policy, net zero, and where Labor is and the pain, and almost wish I was back there because it is absolutely winnable in the public domain. Do you feel like that, like I do?
Absolutely right. Labor has an energy train wreck because of its emissions obsession. It's the net zero straitjacket which is driving our crazy energy policies. And as you've said, Peter, as things stand, we're subsidising renewables to drive take-up. We're subsidising consumers to avoid bill shock. We're subsidising coal to keep the lights on. And we're subsidising heavy industry so that they don't close down because of high power prices. This is literally insane. So we've got to get right away from this. I think a sensible energy policy is quite simple. No more coal-fired power stations to close without a reliable alternative. Get gas out of the ground at express speed. No subsidies for renewables because if they're really cheap, they don't need it. And let's end the nuclear ban. Now, I really think that a strong and sustained case can be successfully made to the Australian people. And frankly, the cost of net zero is also the devastation of so much of our countryside as forests of wind turbines and carpets of solar panels end up covering an area almost twice the size of Tasmania. So I really think that this is eminently winnable, but it does need a sustained, consistent, day in, day out campaign.
Right.
And that, I assume, is what the coalition is now going to mount.
Two parts there, let them get to the right place, and then the questions will be, have they got the right leader to prosecute that case? I'll leave it there, Tony Abbott. I'll let you off with that one because you'll have to be diplomatic.